Hello people, this is Spellbinder with an update on the S.510 draconian bill being shoved down the American's throat if we want it or not, so Monsanto can poison us all and put us in an early grave. Yes, our Congress and Senate do not listen to the people anymore. They kiss the butt of the corporates that line their pockets with money, with counterfeit money the Federal Reserve puts out. I just don't understand what's wrong with them. What happened to their American spirit and their patriot thoughts? They have none. They've turned into a bunch of jellyfish that roll over. The only thing I can think of is they're being blackmailed, and they have to do as they're told, or else the 6 o'clock and 11 o'clock news will come out on things that they just don't want you to know about, of activities in their private lives. See, these people are bought and paid for by special interest. And what we have to do is fire them all. We've been saying this for a long time. Go out and find people to run for Congress and the Senate that will not be taken by these evil ones that are out there buying them off. Get somebody who doesn't care about counterfeit paper money being printed by the feds, and then you'll fix this problem. This is how this new S.510 food bill is being shoved at us. This is what the truth is behind why it's not important to have this bill. This first article explains why it's not important. The Foundry, Conservative Policy News. The new data counters half-baked claims of food safety crisis by Diane Cates on December 17, 2010. It says the incident rate of food-borne illness in the United States is dramatically lower than previously estimated, according to the findings reported Wednesday by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC. The new data thoroughly refutes the misleading claims of alarmists advocating for vastly expanding federal regulations of the food supply. According to the new research published in the current edition of the journal Emerging Infectious Diseases, some 16% of Americans experience some form of food-borne illness annually. And a lot of that's from the cutting board, when they don't clean their cutting board after having chicken on there. You know, chicken is covered in salmonella when you buy it at the store. And when you cut it on a cutting board, it leaves it on there. If you cut anything, vegetables or anything else, it's gonna cross-contaminate. Compared to the previous estimate of 25%. See, it's 16 to 25%. They were saying it was 25% of it, but now it's 16. Best of all, the new analysis has lowered the number of deaths related to food-borne illnesses from 5,000 a year to 3,000 annually, a difference of 40%, which is a hell of a lot difference. The previous figures cited by the CDC originated from estimates compiled in 1999. The new figures employed data from 2000 to 2008 and better statistical methods represent the most accurate picture yet of food-borne illnesses, the agency official said. All of which is very good news for all of us. It is particularly useful to counter the misinformation enveloping the pending legislation that would grant the Food and Drug Administration control over virtually all aspects of food production from farm to table, which is like from cradle to grave with the taxes and all the other laws and regulations they keep socializing us with. The most recent incarnation of the food regulation measure is clear the House. Its faith is in the Senate and is shaky. However, it has been tucked within a 1,924-page, $1.27 trillion omnibus spending bill, but that's been abandoned by the Senate leadership. Whether it's taken up in another form from before Congress recesses remains to be seen. Well, I'm going to go ahead and skip this. Unanimous consent. There's the attack on our children. This is Food Safety Bill Liz by Janie Dupre. It's December 19th. The major food safety bill that had almost been given up for dead was suddenly revived in the Senate late on Sunday night, just yesterday, and may be ready for House approval as early as Tuesday, tomorrow. the 21st. In particular, in parliamentary move laid out on the Senate floor by Senate Majority Leader Socialist Harry Reid just after 7 p.m., the Senate took the food safety bill language that was passed as part of a stopgap budget plan by the House, attached it to another House-passed bill, and approved that by unanimous consent. They don't listen to us, people. They stopped listening to us for a long time, it seems. We're just a squeak in the distance to them of a mouse. A Democrat Senate aide told me that Republicans did not object to the plan, even though the bill has garnered fierce opposition in some GOP quarters. The move was a surprise, as it seemed like the food safety bill was going to die in the waning days of this year, despite strong support in both House and Senate. The bill almost went down in a drain originally because of an elementary mistake by the Senate Democrats, who added revenue provisions to a measure that originated in the Senate, despite the congressional requirement that all spending and revenue bills start in the House. The House refused to act directly on that legislation because of what's known as a blue slip problem. That problem was solved when the House approved its long-term continuing resolution last week, which included the language of the Senate-passed food safety bill. As reported above, the Senate on Sunday night simply took the revised food safety language that was approved by the House in the CR, substituted it to the language of H.R. 2751, one of the original cash for clunker bills from last year, and approved it by unanimous consent. See, they just stick this stuff in other bills and then pass it. They don't even. It's so draconian and evil. That move will fix any constitutional issue because the plan originated in the House as part of the CR, and by using a bill that was already approved by the House and the Cash for Clunkers bill. Before you can start screaming about the food safety language replaces the Cash for Clunker language in the amendment version of H.R. 2751, I was told that the food safety bill should be up for a vote as soon as Tuesday in the House. Read more. You can actually read more. I'll leave that open. Bribery and graft bound as Reid attaches S.510 to clunkers. December 20th. That's today. Mirati Oakley, FDA and the USDA have routinely used the Federal Register to update the food safety system, always granting themselves for far-reaching authority and empowering themselves far beyond the event of the original legislation that created these blights on America. The Republicans joined right in. I can only imagine that halls of the Senate were virtually awash with funding from a lobbyist as Republicans joined Democrats in the greatest assault on agriculture ever launched by our own government. It seems there is no stopping the furious Harry Reid socialist bill. Democrat of Nevada, with the country screaming no to the ill-conceived S.510 Fake Food Safety bill. Reid was successful in attaching the agricultural police bill to a non-related bill and rammed this piece of garbage through the Senate once again. And where were these Republicans who got the message from voters that things needed to be changed? Well, I guess they got paid. They were right in there voting yes along with the Democrats. Even Senator Tom Coburn, a Republican in Oklahoma, jumped on the bandwagon and voted to pass this attack on the food production and supply into law. It's just amazing what bags of corporate lobby money can do to politicians. S.510 Food Safety Bill was passed quickly late Sunday afternoon, a vote taken when the Senate could be assured a few were watching or even aware that the vote on the criminalization of independent and family agriculture was taking place. Like a lot of rats scurrying across the deck of a sinking ship, senators lined up one by one to vote against the best interest of their districts and in favor of the industrialization of agriculture. And like rats, they hurriedly scurried away before their presence was detected. Rats are like that. Tonight, we unanimously passed a measure to improve on our current food safety system by giving the FDA the resources it needs to keep up with advances in food production and marketing without unduly burdening farmers and food producers, Reid said in a slide in a statement. This statement by Reid is an outright lie. He knows better than anyone else this bill has nothing to do with food safety. What is relevant is that this statement is in alluding to market exports and food production, GMO, cloning, etc. All the poison that you need to make you die an early death. They even say that today's generation being born will live at a quarter of what we're living, was born in the 50s and 60s. He also knows that the CDC report that was withheld from more than a year prior to shoving this attack on the American by its own government indicated food-borne illness were markedly declining, contrary to the phony emotional drivel of the Senate Durbin on the Senate floor prior to the last vote of S.510. Reid went on to say that this was the first time in almost a century that the food safety system was updated, and this also is a blatant lie. It's been updated several times, and there's been no food-borne illnesses from anyone offhand except for the mega factory corporations are the only ones. And that's the ones that are paying for this, so they can get rid of the mom and pop who are really clean people and cleaner, and they don't put chickens in 1-foot cages to have eggs and stack them 20, 30 feet high. The FDA and USDA has routinely used the Federal Register to update the food safety system, always granting themselves far-reaching authority and empowering themselves far beyond the intent of the original legislation that created these blights on America. All S.510 will do is to unlawfully empower these agencies to openly construct a police state in agriculture with an eye on making the continuance of family and independent farming and ranching so unattainable and so riddled with onerous regulations, reporting requirements, warrantless searches and seizures of private property, unnecessary licensing, property rights violations, and the obligation of individual rights in order to benefit corporations, and all the costs associated with these acts of aggression against independent agriculture that many farmers and ranchers are already bailing out ahead of the FDA Gestapo plans. Gene Halloran, director of the Food Policy Initiative at Consumers Union, said, "This is a wonderful day for consumers. We're actually, Gene, no, it isn't." Unfortunately for Ms. Halloran, this bill gives FDA essential tools like mandatory recall authority to issue that the food we eat is safe. This bill gave the FDA a lot more than mandatory recall authority. In the last place I would look to ensure food safety is the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. We have only to look at the cancerous history of the FDA in regards to pharmaceuticals and to know that this agency should have been at the last one considered to stand guard on our food supply. How many people have been harmed, maimed, or killed as a result of the FDA-approved drugs that were lethal yet approved for use on the public? Anything for a buck, right? When will we see Senator Durbin on the floor of the Senate laminating that? We don't think so. Well, that's all the time I'm going to have to read this. Like I said, I'll have a link down in the bottom to these links here, and you'll be able to check these out. This link here, since it got paid off to pass S.510, the CDC reports decline food illness. Until next time, I hope people wake up and smell the fascism of this country, where corporations run government instead of government keeping an eye and a tab on corporations just to make sure they're being honest. Until next time, this is Spellbinder saying, be good or be good at it, or be controlled and enslaved.